from over the weekend. If you're looking at the good, you would have to say both Auburn and Alabama baseball would be good. Definitely both doing things on the diamond over the weekend to submit themselves bids into the SEC baseball tournament. Alabama takes 2 out of 3 from Texas A&M. They dropped the first one on Friday, but then turned around on Saturday and Sunday. Or they win game 1 on Friday, drop 1 on Saturday, but they win 1 on Sunday. So they take 2 out of 3 there on the road, does Alabama. And then Auburn comes away with a resounding sweep of Ole Miss, a sweep of the Rebels that will keep Ole Miss away from Hoover this year. Ole Miss eliminated from contention to going to Hoover, I believe. Yeah, I mean, if Mississippi State wins one this weekend, well, actually, no, Ole Miss has been eliminated. I look at the standings again, and Ole Miss eliminated from Hoover. It's going to come down to the final weekend to see that final spot. Missouri and Georgia have the inside track to get to Hoover. Mississippi State holding on for dear life, and this is what needs to happen. Mississippi State needs to come up with a sweep this weekend. They've got to win all 3 and have Missouri and Georgia win just 1.
Well, and really...
No, they can't win at all. My bad. They can't win at all. Missouri and Georgia has to get swept, and Mississippi State has to sweep for the Bulldogs to get to Hoover.
Right, because Missouri, was able to take a sweep of Georgia at home this weekend, which was bad for Mississippi State, even though they took 2 out of 3 from number 1 LSU. And LSU right now, I mean, I know they're going to host. I know they're going to be a national seed, but they're going to have to get some things worked out. Their pitching is not very good right now.
Behind their starter, yeah.
Yeah, Paul Skeens is doing a nice job, but their bullpen, I mean, they had a complete meltdown yesterday. I think they were up 10-4. Then I think it was 13-4, and they lost 14-13 at home to Mississippi State. So, I mean, if Mississippi State had lost that game yesterday, they would really be on life support because, right now Mizzou's got 10 conference wins, Georgia's got 10 conference wins, State's got 8. So, like you said, State's going to host Texas A&M, so at least they're at home at Duty Noble Field. But they're pretty much in must-win mode. They've got to win, no question about it. And then, as you said, Ole Miss has only, got 6 conference wins after this weekend, where Auburn just resoundingly the game got rained out on Thursday, but they played a doubleheader on Friday. Auburn whitewashed them 16-4 the first game, solidly whipped them 8-2. To complete the doubleheader sweep, and then came out and were up 9-0 before you could snap your fingers on Saturday and won that game 13-5. And so that just really sealed the fate of the Rebels, who will now travel to Tuscaloosa to take on a hot Alabama team who outscored A&M 23-1 over the last 2 games. And of course, it was a very interesting Sunday, as it seemed as though A&M was trying to get the game postponed because it started raining in College Station, and they probably should have just played a doubleheader on Saturday, but they pushed the game up on Saturday to 12, and it was supposed to be at 2. That was rain delayed a little bit. Got started 45 minutes late, then got delayed later in the ball game around the 6th inning, but resumed. Alabama won in 7 innings, 12-1, and then they moved the Sunday game up to 12, which was supposed to be at 3, and then they started delaying it. They delayed it, I think, 3 times, and there was even an erroneous report out there that they were going to cancel it. And because both teams, Scott, are out of school, everybody's pretty much out of school. The Sunday rules that usually apply don't, where you can only start at a certain time. You got to catch a plane, all this. They allowed them to play the game at night, and they delayed it all the way to 7 o'clock, and Alabama won it 11-0. So
Texas A&M, they had people out on the field with buckets and hoses. They were doing everything they could to get the water off the field. They had like an old-fashioned fire brigade line, and they were scooping water literally off the field during the afternoon yesterday to try to get the game being played at night.
Yeah, exactly. So, or as Chris Stewart said, a bucket with a hole in it. But anyway, but of course Dirt Neck probably gave him that. But Alabama wins the game, 11-0, and now has put themselves in solid position. They certainly are going to Hoover. It's all about trying to what you're going to be seeded.
Yep.
How they got a chance to finish 500 or better in the league, which is very difficult to do. It'll be interesting to see how Ole Miss plays because, like you just mentioned, the defending national champs have nothing to play for, which is unusual. A lot of times, Ole Miss is used to going to Hoover, going to regionals, and certainly not being eliminated already. And Mississippi State, since winning the national title, they didn't make it last year and didn't make postseason play. They certainly. Only way they're going to go to a regional this year is to get to Hoover and then win it all.
Yeah.
So Mississippi
they got to
State
get to Hoover.
they got to
have a sweep, and then they got to hope that Missouri or Georgia did not win one ball game. So that's their only hope.
And look, Georgia's playing LSU. So, you do. So you at least have that. LSU should be irritated.
Should be.
But Georgia, I believe, is at home. So Georgia, and with this LSU pitching, I would think Georgia could take one game. So the likelihood of Mississippi State making it is bleak. I thought going into the last couple of weeks on the show, I said I thought Missouri would find a way to make it, and I thought Mississippi State had a good shot, even still against Georgia. But after this weekend, and even though Georgia got swept, Mississippi State struggled. So it's not impossible for Mississippi State, but they certainly don't have any margin for error, as you mentioned.
And then you look at it, if Auburn has Missouri this weekend, if Auburn is able to stay hot, take 2 out of 3 or even 3 sweep, you're looking at 17-13, 16-13 going into Hoover for Auburn. With that sweep of Ole Miss and being 3 games over 500 potentially in the league, Auburn could find themselves at home for a regional.
Maybe. The only problem with it is they've only got 30 wins. They're 30-19. I think they're solidly on the 2 line right now. Now, they're probably going to have to sweep Missouri, which Missouri's not playing bad baseball, so it's not going to be easy at Plainsman's Park, but it's certainly doable. To be honest with you, though, I think with them, they're going to have to sweep and then probably win a couple of 2 or 3 games in Hoover, and they could still host. Now, they're solidly in the tournament.
Yes.
There's no question about it. And I'm talking about Hoover and the NCAAs. And I think right now they're a solid 2. But if they're going to move up even more like they did a year ago when they got hot, they're going to have to win some more games. Alabama actually has a better shot at hosting than Auburn right now, even though they're below them in the standings by a couple of games, but Alabama doesn't have margin for error for hosting either. I think they have to sweep Ole Miss more than likely and win a couple of games in Hoover, because that would put them a few games over 500 in the SEC. And right now, the thing that the strength for Alabama is that they've got their RPI after that 2 out of 3 in College Station is 11. So I know Ole Miss is not very good, but if they sweep them, I think their RPI will end up in the single digits. And when you're 16-14 in the SEC, but you got a single-digit RPI heading into the conference tournament, and you have right now, I believe they're 35-17. That would put them at 38. I'm just being technical here. Say they end up with 40 wins if they win at least 2 games in Hoover, and your RPI is probably no lower than a 12 or something. Because that would mean, because if you win a couple games in Hoover, it means you're also probably going to lose a couple. But if you say you're 40-18, then I think they've got a chance. Now they haven't, or 40-19, excuse me, but they haven't hosted, I want to say, since 2006.
Wow,
that's the last time I can remember. Because the last time they went to they won a regional, they were at Georgia Tech, and then they went to Clemson for the Supers. So, and the rest of the time, the few times they've made it, it's been as like 2 and 3 seeds. So they haven't hosted in a long time, and so I still say both Alabama and Auburn, it's possible, but I still think they have a lot of work to do.
I'm sure Alabama fans are going to be scratching their heads, and the question is going to be asked, if Alabama stays hot as they are right now on the baseball diamond, the question is going to be asked, was the fact that Brad Bohannon being dismissed, was that the anchor that has prevented this team from having success, or is Alabama winning because they got, you know what I mean? It's was Brad Bohannon's decisions affecting this ball club and holding them back, or the fact that Brad Bohannon was dismissed, this team galvanized itself because they lost their head coach? The question is going to be asked, which one was it the rest of the way out?
The best way for me to put it is just watching the team compete since it happened. And I've watched a lot of the games on SEC Network Plus. They seem to me to be playing free. I mean, and they seem to be playing with a renewed energy. Part of that's probably because they have a lot of respect for the guys still there from the standpoint of their teammates, and then Jason Jackson, who and Matt Rita, and of course Hunter Morris. They're all fighting for their jobs too, and they're certainly trying to get this team juiced. But I think certainly they've got to be excited about the opportunity they've got in front of them, because even though 2 times got fired, the thing about it is that there was still a lot on the table for the team. I mean, they had a top 5 team coming in Vandy, which they beat 2 out of 3, and regardless, they still had a lot to play for. I mean, they're trying, because they've only been to postseason once in 5 years, going into this 6th year. So you're trying to get back for that. And you're trying to get back to Hoover, which you did last year. You want to do some damage this time, even more damage. But you got a chance to get back to postseason. So regardless if your coach is there or not, and it's unusual because usually when coaches get fired, it would be, and hopefully Mike Bianco is going to be given a mulligan for this, but it would usually be because you're losing and your season's gone in the tank. But this is just one of the most unusual things you've ever seen. But I think they've just sort of galvanized themselves. And the team looks like a baseball team now from the standpoint. There's not weird analytical things going on, and that's what Bohannon used to call it. I'm calling it something else now, a little maybe more nefarious. But again, we'll see. But I just think it's like a weight's been lifted. I think they're just having fun, and certainly I think. And one thing I will give Bohannon credit for doing, and it's what I've said his entire tenure there, I do think he upped the talent level. And the one thing I will give the coaching staff and credit that's still there, and these players, is I'm going to be honest with you, man. They've overcome a lot of injuries on the mound themselves, because Ben Hess, I don't think he's probably going to pitch the rest of the year. We know Grayson Hitt's out with Tommy John. He's done. Antoine Jean hasn't pitched at all. They didn't have Garrett McMillan for over half the season. This is pretty amazing what they've done. And then the last 2 weekends, they haven't had Riley Quick either. So they've been able to overcome it with some pitchers stepping up, and certainly Jacob McNary from Athens, our local guy, he threw the best game of his career yesterday on that Sunday, 7 innings. And see, that's another thing that I've liked, is with Jason Jackson taking over now, you begin to wonder, because there's no more 4-inning, 3-inning. I mean, they're letting pitchers go deeper in the game. They did a lot of things to me that didn't make a lot of sense under Bohannon, that then now they're doing it in a more traditional way under this coaching staff that's remaining. All
right, time for our first break of the morning. 256-576-4977. Some college football news and other softball news when we return live from Bill Penny Toyota's 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Still looking at a pretty good ride in this morning. Haven't found anything accident-wise. No stalls or traffic signal headaches. You be careful. Put some extra room in there, and maybe we'll be able to keep it that way. Popeye's Shrimp Tackle Box has 8 crispy Louisiana seasoned butterfly shrimp with a signature side and a buttermilk biscuit, only $6. Popeye's University in Jordan, 72 in Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Neck in the Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in, so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Make this the summer you finally get your own backyard pool from Superior Pool Construction. Family owned and operated, our team can have you swimming and splashing in no time. And now is the time to choose your custom fiberglass pool. Superior Pool Construction has a few spots still open for quick installation this summer. 80 different pools to choose from and 12 in beautiful Diamond Tech colors. All come with a 50-year manufacturer structural warranty. Call Superior Pool Construction now. 256-284-5953. 284-5953.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Monday, we'll see partly sunshine heading into the afternoon. Scattered showers and thunderstorms become a possibility. High temperature is going to be topping back out in the upper 80s for the afternoon. For your Monday night, a few lingering showers and thunderstorms still going to be possible. Otherwise, we'll sit under a mostly cloudy sky. Low temperatures expected to fall back into the upper 60s for the overnight. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Live from Bill Penny Toyota on a Monday morning, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Their service department can take care of all your service needs. 256-576-4977. That's the number to the phone lines. You want to be a part of the program, just like Jeff from the Borough is on a Monday morning. Good morning, Jeff.
Morning, Jeff. Morning, sir.
I just want to tell you, I know y'all can't wait to be it, but Johnny Major's estate for sale and all his trophies today. He's great.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, y'all can't wait to put it online.
They're not putting all that stuff in like at Tennessee, like in their Hall of Fame or something.
It's an online auction. It'll be starting at $10, and they should start at 10 cents, but they're starting at $10. So I don't know who's gonna bid on it, but all his trophies, like they've got like his Hall of Fame trophies from some bowl game and some other trophies in his career and stuff he's got. He got a picture with Burt Reynolds. God, I don't know what that's going to go for. Probably about 5 cents. I'm going to have that somebody on my frame on my wall. I got to hurry up and bid on that. It's probably $5,000. Him and Burt Reynolds.
Do they have the knife that Phil used?
Him and Mike.
That's the biggest thing, Jeff.
Picture of him and Mike Dick. God, I can't wait to have that on my wall either. That'd probably go for $10,000. That picture probably will. Autographs and stuff. Him and Dave Wanstead and Mike Dick. Lord, I can't wait to see what the bid's going to be for that. So, them great coaches. Dave Wanstead, outstanding coach he was. I can't wait to see what the bid's going to be on that. So, it's probably a record bid. Probably a record high. On them below it. There'll be a gate for sale. It'll be 88 out the gate, not else to lose. That's his famous saying. So there'll be a gate for sale somewhere. That's what it'll be. Probably the knife that Phil Fulmer stabbed him in the back with in '92 when Phil Fulmer took over.
There you go, Jeff.
Finally got there.
There we go.
But Phil Fulmer stabbed him in the back, and everybody knows. But
yeah, he sure did.
And some fans call him fat for He needs to lose some weight. Some call him fat instead of bum or something. Things like that. So
I call him Fatimus Maximus here.
Well,
Yes.
one fan calls all time on sports show calls him fat or something. That's what he calls it. But no, I just want to say I want to know how Alabama got to host softball. I guess they must know somebody on the committee, I reckon. Got to host softball.
RPI.
Well, I thought they would host, Jeff. I certainly didn't think it would be as a national seed. I thought it would be somewhere like 13 or 14 or something like that. 13 or 14. I thought Auburn would get to host. I thought they got kind of hosed. I thought they would be somewhere.
But you look at their preseason, you look at their non-conference schedule for both Alabama
that had
and
to be
Auburn.
What it was. I mean, it had to be the non-conference.
Auburn's was very weak on the non-conference schedule.
I mean, they played
Alabama played a really tough
twice and beat, I believe, by Northwestern. So Alabama beat some of those teams like Duke and Florida State early, and they did have I think the number 2 schedule strength and the number 12 RPI. Now, I still thought they would host, but I just thought it would be 11, 12, 13 somewhere. I didn't think they'd be able to host the Supers. I
didn't think Auburn would go on. I didn't think Auburn was going to go on the road. I thought Auburn would be at home.
I thought they would be the 14, 15.
Yes.
And if at worst, I thought, oh Lord, they're going to kind of. They're going. It was still would have been just a tough draw, being 16th because of Oklahoma and the Supers.
Right.
But I thought they're at least going to be the 16th seed and be hosting because they finished third in the SEC. And when Clemson popped up on there, I was like, wow. So they're in, but they're going to have to go to Clemson and still play Oklahoma potentially if they win it.
Yeah,
that's
the
a tough
Super
draw,
Regional is
I thought
Oklahoma.
being third in the SEC. Look, I know they're out of conference wasn't as tough, but third in the SEC, and they were in the semifinals of the SEC tournament, and we're one strike away from
getting to the finals.
I mean, to me, Auburn should have hosted. I thought they got hosed.
Auburn, I don't know about I know. I was leading the bracket to some of the teams that got in. Of course, I know Middle Tennessee's coming down there. They've been down there before. Last time they went, went down there was through that when they went last time. But it's your second time winning the conference. They won the conference tournament. They come out of the losers bracket and won, and them and Charlotte got in that large bid. They won the regular season, so they got that large bid, which I was glad to see that. But they've been down to Tuscaloosa before, so I'm sure Coach Priest is going to tell a little bit about it. He told me on the interview I did a story earlier this season. He said it was a moment he would never forget. When they went down there in 2018, he said a moment he never forget. And he walked out there and seen well, it was 4,000, whatever. All them people out there stadium said, no, but he'd never forget. His players never forget that time. First time here being the regionals down there, so it's going to be tough. I think they can beat Central Arkansas, the team they're playing. They were supposed to play during the season, and for some reason it got rained out or something. They're supposed to play, but I think Alabama's beatable. There's no doubt about it.
Well, I mean, if Montana Fouts isn't healthy, especially, Jeff, I mean, they won't know until later today.
If Bats don't pitch, they're definitely beatable. I think they're
beatable, no doubt.
There's no doubt they're definitely beatable. But I just don't see how they got the host. But that's why you get to Oklahoma City every year when you can host the regionals, the super regionals, and that's how you get there every year. But that's why Kentucky got in, but they won't do much. They're going to Northwestern, so I'll be surprised if they win a game or two. They've been inconsistent, all year long. But I did want to ask you guys too. I know it's the last weekend of SEC play.
Yes.
Kentucky was picked to finish dead last. I think they're 5th or 6th now in the league. I know he won't get Coach of the Year, but he'll probably get some votes. Be Joni will. I know he won't get none. Won't get it.
They got a chance to potentially host, man.
All right, Jeff. Thanks for the phone call, too. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it is the final weekend of SEC baseball play, and that's what we were talking about there in the first segment.
A tough 3 weekends, though, for South Kakalaki because they've gone from being in first place in the SEC to 15-11. They've lost 3 straight series, and a couple of them been swept. So the SEC is brutal, man. I mean, it really is. You got to play well. You got to be consistent. And so we'll see what happens. I mean, like you said earlier, Scott, in the hour, Ole Miss is done. They already know their fate. But Mississippi State is the one fighting with Georgia and Missouri to try to get to Hoover, or otherwise it's going to be a dark day in Mississippi as both these teams that love college baseball and have great traditions could end up sitting at the house. And it's so weird because they're the last two national champs, and it would be 2 years in a row for Mississippi State, and then, of course, this year for Ole Miss is already sealed that they're not going back after being the last team in but then winning it all. And it shows how weird things are, because Bianco was on the hottest of the hot seats before they got hot last year, and now after the season's over, it's going to be interesting to see what Ole Miss does. Personally, I hope they let him try to fix it, but you never know in these climates, man.
Well, speaking of painful and hurt and everything, twofold.
Yeah.
Les Studeman in the UAH softball team. I mean, you had Tampa on the ropes in Game 1 of that.
Game 2, in the winner's bracket.
Well, they were up in the winner's bracket, and
3-0,
they Tampa scores in the bottom of the 7th, and then they play basically an extra game there in extras. And then the second game, UH puts back in, and they get dumped into the loser's bracket, have to fight their way back. They do, and can't get a run when they needed it against Tampa, and they fall. She was right. They had a good shot of coming out of that region when she joined us. Yep. She was right, and your heart just breaks. And then
those ladies, great year though.
And then yesterday, the baseball team gets snubbed. They don't make the NCAA baseball tournament. Hunter Royer squad this year, watching it from the sidelines.
Yeah, it was tough because they went 0-2 barbecue, which is the worst thing when you're in college baseball. That term that Mike Martin coined years ago. You don't want to be 0-2 barbecue, because that means in a tournament in the postseason, whether it's your conference tournament or you go to regional or you go to Omaha or whatever. If you're 0-2 barbecue, it means you're gone just like that, and your season's probably over. And UAH was in solid position baseball-wise going into Chakalaka, but they lost 2 straight. And we heard when we talked to Hunter Royer, they had a tough matchup with Shorter because they had a lefty starter who was really good and who he said was high level. Well, I believe they got shut out 3-0. And then they turn around in the loser's bracket and you take on Montevallo and you drop that game 8-2. And you had, remember where they played 10 a.m. both times? You played the first game of each day. They were gone quick. And that's the problem. If they had won a couple of games, which, heck, like he told us, they've lost the first game, won 3 or 4 in a row before, and got to the finals before being subdued. But once they went out so quickly, I was worried about that. And I think they were ranked in the last region poll like 7th, which was the top 8?
Yeah, that's the
Dangerville.
That's the
right
line
there.
You don't want to be. You don't want to be 7, or you don't want to be 8.
It's like a flip of a coin, whatever the committee decides, and that's
basically that is Joe Lenardi's first 4 out type of thing. If you're 7 or 8,
it just depends on who the committee likes, and if your last impression is 0-2 barbecue, man, stinks. I was hoping they were going to get in the dance, man.
All right, let's get our second break in. When we come back, college football news. Cardell Jones takes a shot at Stetson Bennett.
Yeah.
Did you see this over the weekend?
I didn't see it.
All right, we're going to let you know what
Cardell Jones
it is.
has got 1 ring. Stetson's got 2, even if he's not sober.
All right, we'll fill you in when we return.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Monday, we'll see partly sunshine heading into the afternoon. Scattered showers and thunderstorms become a possibility. High temperatures going to be topping back out in the upper 80s for the afternoon. For your Monday night, a few lingering showers and thunderstorms still going to be possible. Otherwise, we'll sit under a mostly cloudy sky. Low temperatures expected to fall back into the upper 60s for the overnight. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Good morning. Not much to it this morning. Traffic continuing to move along nicely. You be careful on your ride in. Hopefully it'll stay a pretty easy one. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. Why not make it safer for them? Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jav Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Is I had a few too many happening too often? Do you always need a drink to relax or sleep? You're not alone. 1 in 7 people struggle with alcohol. Bradford can help. For over 40 years, Bradford's affordable rehab programs have helped people overcome addiction and return to healthy, productive lives. Call 888-SOBER40 for confidential help 24/7. Start your comeback with Bradford. Call 888-SOBER40 or visit bradfordhealth.com.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
This far into rush hour traffic, most people would have rage accelerated at least once. But not you, Lacey No Hard Accelerations Ever Johnson, because you are a safe driver. And like most drivers who sign up for Snapshot from Progressive, which customizes your rate for how and how much you drive, you could earn a discount for your good driving. So if your hula dancing dashboard doll thinks you're going to hard accelerate because you're running late, then your hula dancing dashboard doll doesn't know. Lacey No Hard Accelerations Ever Johnson. Sign up for Snapshot today.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in all states or from all agents.
This is the only place for Drew DeArmond, Wes Neighbors, and of course, Tom Abraham.
I never met him, but I hear that he's a man of character.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond hanging out here at Bill Penny Toyota. And we go back in our time machine. We hop into the time machine, the Twitter machine back in the day. Remember Cardale Jones?
I remember. What did they call him? The howitzer? I can't remember.
Remember when he tweeted these famous words? Why should we have to go to class if we came here to play football? We ain't come to play school. Classes are pointless. That was back in 2012.
No, it was 12 gauge. That's what they used to call him. I think.
12 gauge?
I think.
Was he aiming the football as well?
I don't know. He aimed it well for like a one playoff run, but after that it was flunk.
Well, Cardale Jones, who tweeted those infamous words back in 2012, tweeted at Stetson Bennett over the weekend, and saying Buddy definitely wasn't playing school because Stetson Bennett, despite being in college since 2017, has not graduated from Georgia.
I mean, come on. It is what it is, man. He probably changed his major 2 or 3 times. Remember, he was a walk-on, then he went to JUCO, then he came back from JUCO to take a scholarship. I mean, he'll probably eventually – look, man, I'm just giving an example. Like,
okay.
I saw this weekend just out of the – and honestly – it's hard to believe that many years has already passed, but I know you probably remember the guard at Duke, Will Avery. who decided to leave like after he was a sophomore and nobody understood why. And
right.
He was a second-round draft pick. He was a good college player, but he should have stayed. And that was like around 2005 or something, man. It's hard to believe it's been that many years. And now he just got his degree from Duke. So some of these dudes, like,
but he left after 2 years.
Yeah,
though.
he did, and he played overseas a long time and in the NBA. So he had a pro career, and he decides to come back. Now Bennett has just wrapped it up, but I'm just saying, like, Stetson will probably come back and finish his degree at some point. I mean, he's never going to have to pay for anything the rest of his life in the state of Georgia. So, I mean, I don't think it's that big a deal to start saying, well, Stetson hasn't graduated from Georgia yet. I mean, that is not uncommon with guys that now I know it's a little bit different because it's a COVID situation, but still, I mean, you have guys that turn pro early and don't graduate. There's guys, I'm sure, that are seniors that haven't quite finished yet.
Right.
I mean, you have to make certain academic progress, but you can do that and still not graduate. So, again, I don't, hating on Stetson Bennett because he hasn't finished his degree, I think that's kind of disingenuous, especially from somebody coming from the Sucks. It smells like a third grader. At least he does on his tweets. Sound like from what you said. I mean, I wouldn't take Cardell Jones too seriously. I mean, that dude. I mean, he's living off of one run. I mean, Stetson's at least done something where they'd probably make a movie. I mean, they're not going to make a movie about Ohio State, and if they do, it won't be a pretty one. When you're talking about Urban Liar and the Convicts.
Yes, Urban Liar. Hey, remember, Texas has the best roster in college football.
Well, I mean, hey, if they ever do a movie on Herb, that's going to be some ugly stuff. I mean, when you talk about how it ended at Florida,
right.
How it ended with the Sucks, and
right.
then the 1 year with the competition drills and whatever the hell else he was doing, and then not even completing the season with the Jags. We're talking brutal here.
Well, it's something when you have all that success at Florida, and they don't invite you back.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They didn't even want him back. Like, it was funny. I kept seeing him in all these broadcasts and stuff, and he would have like a Florida pullover on. I'm like, they hate you. Why are you wearing that? I mean, but I guess I know why, because one, he's trying to suck up and get back in the good graces, and he won 2 of his 3 national championships at Florida. And if it wasn't for Tim Tebow, he would be an abject failure. I mean, because guess what? If he didn't have Tim Tebow, he wouldn't have won the national championships at Florida, and then he wouldn't have gone to the Sucks, and then he wouldn't have won that one, and he would have been one of these what-if guys on the side of a milk carton.
So he's more closer to what-if than he is.
Well, I mean, he can't say what-if. He won them.
Right.
But, I mean.
But he can recruit well, though.
He can recruit.
He can recruit.
Now, he doesn't do background checks, but he can recruit. There's no question about that.
Will he coach again in college football?
I don't know. I'm never going to say never, because I honestly thought he would.
Right.
I thought he would take the USC job instead of Lincoln Sharman, but then Lincoln took it because he was, he wasn't winning. He was winning the Big 12, but he wasn't winning championships. And then, USC threw all that money. I thought that Herb was going to take the Texas job too before that. I thought really when he was flirting heavy, I thought he might take it, and then around the time that Sark ended up taking the job, I thought, he was flirting heavy with him, but then it didn't work out, and then I think he was even kind of flirting even back in the days of Tom Herman. But I really thought that Herb, that when Sark got hired, might end up there or USC. But when he didn't take either one of those jobs, I started to wonder. But then he wanted to try the NFL like a lot of these guys. But if you ask me yes or no, I would say at some point yes, because the only reason I'm saying that is he's such an egomaniac.
That he's got to stir that ego.
He doesn't want his last chapter to be not even coaching a full season and being somebody that NFL players didn't respect and just wanted to drop kick out the door. So, I mean, he's going to want the last chapter to be trying to get back up, to the top of college football, which look, man, there's one thing he did prove. He won big at Bowling Green in Utah.
Right.
And then he took Florida to the top, even though there's no telling what he did to get there. But he got Tim Tebow too, who's a transcendent guy. And then he still won it all at Ohio State. So he is one of the best coaches of his generation. You can't. That's why I said you can't say. You can't
say never. But
No, but I'm just saying you can't say that he was you can't say that he was nearly a never was, because he won them. So again, and I will say this: he's one of the few guys that, depending on the job, he can call an athletic director and they would be all over him. I mean, they don't, and a lot of them don't care about the baggage. They don't care about how it ended at Florida and how it ended at Ohio State, or even with the Jaguars. They just know how he won at a very high level at multiple places. So, it's interesting. His name, though, didn't come up at Notre Dame again, because remember, when he took the Florida job, he chose Florida over Notre Dame.
Right.
And so if Marcus Freeman somehow hits
rock bottom?
Not rock bottom, I'm not saying that, because he had a decent first year.
Right.
But in 2 or 3 years, if Herb still hasn't taken a job, and say Marcus hasn't gotten Notre Dame over the hump, maybe that job opens, and it's the one challenge that he takes, because, again, he had his eyes on it several years ago.
You don't see him going anywhere in the Big Ten. You don't see him stepping into Michigan State. Let's say things don't continue to go well at East Lansing. You don't see him potentially landing there.
I mean, he developed Alex Smith into the first pick in the draft and went undefeated at Utah, which is now in the Pac-12.
Right.
But if Urban takes a job, it's not just going to be any Pac-12. Like Power 5 job. Urban's going to take a job where he feels like he can win at the highest level quickly.
Right.
And so I still think he would take Notre Dame, because I know there's academic hurdles and there's the weather and everything like that, but it is still Notre Dame. I think he would still take that job, but I would still lean more toward a Texas or even once Dirt Neck's shown the door for $75 million or whatever after he tells 6 more lies. I mean,
but he's won one.
I mean, but that's a school with very deep pockets.
Right.
I think he would look at that job, Texas
right.
and Texas A&M, very hard. We'll see about Lincoln. Lincoln's probably going to win at a high enough level where USC is not going to do anything for several years. So, but what about UCLA? What if they got their bleep together? If they got rid of Chip Kelly and they finally united, they're in the Big Ten. It's a brand like that. He's going to take a job that's very high profile. And he'll never coach in the NFL again. They probably banned him already. So, I mean, his dog and pony show ain't going to work. And it's about as bad as his mentor, Lou Holtz. It's kind of funny. He was an assistant and really rose to fame under Lou Holtz. They were both abject disasters.
Was it as bad as Steve Spurrier? Was it as bad as Steve Spurrier?
It was worse.
Worse?
Worse. Tons worse. I mean, Steve Spurrier, he brought a bunch of Gators with him, but he didn't have these stupid competitive drills where the players just thought he was a clown. And I don't think, I think the players with the Jacksonville Jaguars were probably about as happy as some of them at Alabama when 2 times got
shown the door.
Got the eggs, man.
I bet you're right.
Showing up.
I bet you're right. All right, we got to get a break in. When we come back, hey, there's a list of quarterbacks that are out that could play their way into first-round draft picks this year. I'll read over those names, and you tell me if they can play their way into first-round draft pick potential. We'll talk more college football, and Drew tried a new drink over the weekend.
Oh, Lord.
We got to get his thoughts when we return.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wreck at Winchester and Homer Nance. That one is coming in as an injury type. And we got a construction project on the north end of downtown that's going to cause problems. Look for Washington and Jefferson to be closed at times. They'll be using Church and Pratt as an alternate route into and out of downtown and around to the interstate. D&L Refrigeration repairs heating and air conditioning units for homes and businesses. D&L 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com. If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
Tom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Monday, we'll see partly sunshine heading into the afternoon. Scattered showers and thunderstorms become a possibility. High temperature is going to be topping back out in the upper 80s for the afternoon. For your Monday night, a few lingering showers and thunderstorms still going to be possible. Otherwise, we'll sit under a mostly cloudy sky. Low temperatures expected to fall back into the upper 60s for the overnight. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
I want to thank you. Thank you for making us your number one choice for sports talk in North Alabama.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond with you. We were talking some college football there before the break, but I've got to know this. You ventured out, and I was going to bring this in for you, but I could not find it in zero sugar. That was the one reason why I did not buy this for you. But the Dr. Pepper strawberry and cream. You ventured into
I
new
found
territory.
it by accident.
Okay.
I found it at CVS.
The zero sugar version.
No.
Okay, so I found the original. I found the full sugar one.
No,
That's why I didn't buy it.
One. That's all I could find.
Okay.
And they were 2 for $5.
Okay, so
and all the Dr. Peppers, I got a zero sugar Dr. Pepper, which that was wise. And then I thought, you know what? I was like, Bandy and Scott have been talking about this. I think I'm going to try it once. And I was like, one time.
Not 2 times.
No, I did look. I sat there, not 2 times. But anyway, 2 times. But I looked everywhere. I was looking behind them and around them. I was like, is there some kind of zero here?
I have not found the zero sugar version.
I was like, I thought Scott said there was one. I was like,
there is one, but I can't find it.
Oh, well, but wait a minute. How is there is, but you can't find it?
Because they've shown pictures. I've seen pictures. They make it in zero sugar. I've just not been able to find it for sale.
I was double checking and triple checking. I was like, because I want a zero sugar if I can find it. I couldn't find it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try this once. And so I got out to the car, and I took the top off, and I drank it, and I was like, this is pretty good. And so that's why I tweeted out the picture. And then I looked on the side of the bottle, and I was like, good God almighty, Joe Friday. And I'm like, there it is. Steve's proving it there in the can. It's 65 grams of sugar in one friggin' bottle. And I'm talking 20 ounces. And I'm like, good Lord. And I did finish it. It took it 2 hours. But I finished the SOB. But I'm telling you, it'll part your hair, man.
You didn't have to finish it.
I did. It was good, at least. No, I remember I only bought one.
Did it make you tingle?
I bought a zero sugar, the other one. I was like, I'm not buying 2 of these things. And besides that, I wasn't even sure it was going to be good. I mean, because I mean, Bandy even said he tried it. He couldn't finish it. Said it was too sweet for him.
And you finished yours.
Yeah, I finished it. Not right away. I mixed it with some stuff, like some other zero sugars. Though I'm like, man, I can't.
That'll work.
I can't hammer.
That'll work.
I can't hammer this whole thing.
Why not?
I mean,
just mix it with zero. Just dilute it. It's all good.
I was at a hotel one time, and I was trying to get a Coke Zero. You know what I'm saying? And you hit the button, and then all of a sudden you're like, you didn't read it all the way though. It comes out. It was like some kind of orange cream Coke Zero. It was the nastiest garbage. I mean, I still drank it because there's nothing else you could do. I had to just kind of hold the nose and drink it. And so I wasn't sure if this was going to be one of those situations. So I was only going to get one bottle of it, and if it was awful, I was going to mix it with something.
Yes.
Remember we talked about Mountain Dew Pitch Black? How bad that was. I had to mix that because I had a 2-liter of that, and I had to mix that to even drink all that. I mean, oh my Lord, this is a 20-ounce bottle, but actually it was pretty good. But I just need to find whatever the hell Steve just showed me because I need the zero sugar version.
Yes, you do.
I don't need 65. I'm like, 65? I was like, good Lord.
Let's go out to the phone lines. Jeremy's with us this morning. Good morning, Jeremy.
I had a similar experience that was something different this weekend. I played at a rodeo this weekend in Horton, Alabama. And the food truck that they had brought out for everybody, they didn't have anything. I haven't drank a can or a bottle like a Coke, Dr. Pepper, Mountain Dew, anything like that. I haven't drank anything like that in over 15 years.
Oh wow!
And so I ordered a Philly cheesesteak from this thing, and I was like sitting there thinking, I don't want to just drink water with this. I'd like to have something. So I was looking and thought they might have some tea, and they didn't have tea.
No tea.
So I ended up having to drink a Mountain Dew for the first time in over 15 years.
Did you drink on it so it was leaded?
Horrible.
Oh, it was leaded, wasn't it? I mean,
it tasted terrible.
I mean, leaded Mountain Dew, man. If you go without drinking like soft drinks, Jeremy, like you have, or if you've just been drinking diet, and then all of a sudden you have a leaded Mountain Dew, it'll knock you down, man. Ain't no doubt.
Gosh, it tasted like it was just pure cane sugar syrup. I mean, it was just,
that's exactly right.
Oh, it was so rough. But but then I keep having this for some reason, and I don't know, over these 15 years, every once in a while, I'll get this cherry Coke taste in my mouth and crave a cherry Coke. I want one so bad, and I'm
That's
like,
crazy.
No, don't do it. You do it, and you're right back in it.
Yeah.
So people don't realize how hard to quit drinking Coke and carbonated drinks are. I mean, like when I quit drinking Coke, it was like I had a guy tell me, he said, dude, you're going to feel like you're coming off some heavy drug. He said, because it's going to be rough. And it was. There were, the week after, there were days where I was looking at my hand and I was shaking. Because I was like, maybe if I drank a Coke, it would kind of knock that down. And then I'd hold off and wouldn't drink it. But it took me about 2 or 3 months to get over the initial impact of not having that in my system every day.
Yeah, several years ago, I was in that same boat. I haven't had one probably in about 20. So I've been there as well.
Yeah, and a few years ago, I became a type 2 diabetic, Jeremy, and so I had to go to diet everything, and that's pretty much what I've done, except for every once in a blue moon when I did that. But I'm not doing it again, even though it was good. I'm like, heck no. I'm like, that thing tasted smooth, but I'm like, hey, I mean, wow. I was like, no. I took the dive because of Scott and Bandy saying, let's look at this. And honestly, I hadn't even been looking for it. And I just looked up and I'm like, is that what they were talking about?
That's what we were talking about,
I was like, but where's the Coke Zero version? Or the Dr. Pepper Zero version?
They have one. I just haven't been able to find it.
So I was like, but I guess I'm going to try this. And I honestly didn't have high expectations. I thought it was going to be one of these things where I was like, but I was like, I took a swig of it. I was like, hey, this is pretty good. And then took a couple more swigs. And then I looked at the side of the bottle and I was like, good Lord. And so I was like, that'll be the only time I do that.
Well, let me ask y'all a question, an actual sports question.
Yeah,
right.
Go ahead.
Going into the SEC tournament, how far do you actually think Alabama's actually going to go with this? Because they seem like a different team with this new coach. I mean, they seem like Bohannon was, kind of pulling back a little bit because they actually look better to me than they have all year.
Well, I don't disagree with that. Look, we got to see how they play this weekend because I was a little bit discouraged how they came out against A&M, but then they annihilated them the last two games.
The matchups, though, have a lot to do with that, though, too. And it's when you get to Hoover.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's going to be the matchups.
It's going to be the matchups. There's still a pretty good chance they may be in the drop-dead round, which is, you have to win a game to get into the dance. So we'll see about that. But I think they can win 2 or 3 games. I think the way their pitching is lining up, their pitching is pretty, healthy right now. If they don't need to take on another injury, if Riley Quick can come back, I think they'll be in good shape. But I think they can win at least a couple of games. I think, they certainly, I believe they won a couple last year. So I think they can make a run. If they get to the weekend, which is those are the next round of drop dead games where you're not in the double elimination anymore.
Right.
I think they could potentially host if they win the series against Ole Miss, but they got to win the series against Ole Miss first and foremost. At least 2 out of 3, if not sweep, and then get some more dubs. But I think they're going to be a 2 at the worst. But they've still got a chance to move up some more since they're in the SEC. And like I said, because of their RPI. But we'll see. But certainly, Jeremy, I think they've got a chance to make a run. I wouldn't bet against them right now. I think they're playing good baseball, and certainly I think, they've got an advantageous matchup with Ole Miss right now, probably more than anybody. We'll see if they can take advantage of that because I thought they'd beat Mississippi State 2 out of 3, and they lost that series at home, but that was before they got rid of the boat anchor.
Right, and Ole Miss is not looking good at all to me. This is what a horrible looking season they've had after winning it all last year. I mean, to me, it wasn't as great as what I thought they were going to come out. I thought they was going to come out of the gate just how, hey, who's going to beat Ole Miss? But they have not.
Yeah, it's been a struggle for them. They were ranked early, but I think they've had pitching injuries too. But everybody has in the league.
Thanks for that phone call, Jeremy, and hopefully the Philly cheesesteak was good.
Yeah, I hope so.
I'm hoping it sounded good. Anyway, let's get our short break in here. When we come back, bring in our first guest of the morning. We'll relive that Alabama series on the road at Texas A&M. Look ahead to some softball. Travis Reier will dial in with us coming up in 2.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Check out VSiN's catalog of original podcasts, daily and weekly programming to keep you in the know when you're on the go. Only at VSIN.com. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
The Celtics are now a plus 110 favorite to win the 2023 NBA championship. After they beat the 76ers in Game 7 on Sunday, they move on to face the Miami Heat. Game 1 is Wednesday night. Boston has home court. The Nuggets are the favorite in the West to win the NBA title at plus 240. They'll take on the Lakers. Game 1 is tomorrow in Denver. Los Angeles a plus 330 favorite to win the championship. Miami a plus $1,600 long shot. Eastern Conference final odds, the Celtics minus 500 to win it. Miami a plus 375 bet. In the West, the Lakers a plus 130 underdog. The Nuggets at minus 145.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
There we are. We're back. Hour 2 underway. We're live from Bill Penny Toyota here in the service department Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then on Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. They can service your vehicle's needs. Give them a call. And we talked a lot about it in hour number 1. We talked some college football. We talked some baseball, softball along the way. Alabama goes on the road, takes 2 out of 3 from Texas A&M. And then Alabama softball gets to the semifinals of the SEC softball tournament. They fall to Tennessee. Tennessee, by the way, goes on to win the regular season and the tournament title in softball this season. But Alabama awarded with a 5 national seed in the softball. That probably, I think, is a bigger surprise than Alabama getting 2 out of 3 against Texas A&M.
Oh, there's no question as far as that sort of national seed for this Alabama team. And we're going to talk about that and more with our next guest. Since 2003, the senior analyst for BamaOnline.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Also part of SEC, the Second Helping podcast with our good friend Brent Beard. And Talkin' Tide with the Tuscaloosa News' Chase Goodbread, and that's Travis Wright. Travis, hope you had a great weekend and happy Mother's Day. How are you?
It was a good one. Hope you guys are well.
Yeah, we are, man. Not as well as Patrick Murphy, though. Certainly, they wanted to make a deeper run and win it all for the second straight year in the women's softball tournament out in Fayetteville, Travis. And then the unfortunate injury. We'll find out later today maybe the future of Montana Fouts. But if you're Patrick Murphy and those ladies, I mean, that schedule you played and then your RPI, and obviously the committee very impressed with some of their early season wins. Alabama, a number 5 national seed. I thought they would host, but wasn't expecting to host both rounds potentially.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a surprise to me, and that's with the full disclosure that I don't exactly know the lay of the land around the rest of college softball.
Right.
We get into this trap of just evaluating Alabama softball based on previous years and the standard that Patrick Murphy has established for that program. So I think from that perspective, this didn't feel like one of those Alabama teams. But at the end of the day, when you include the SEC tournament, 16 wins in the league, and if you go back historically and look at national seeds where Alabama is concerned, that number's worked pretty well. So, I guess from that perspective, it makes some sense. But, yeah, I was with you. I thought 5 was higher than I was saying. I think it was higher than Murph was saying, to be honest with you.
Well, Alabama now, I mean, they are a national seed, number 5, but the biggest question is Montana Fouts. How healthy is she going into the regionals?
Yeah, I mean, that's everything. When you look at their record in SEC play, especially with Montana versus without her. And, there's been some outings where they've gotten good stuff from Salter in a couple of series. Tennessee, most notably early in the year in conference play. She is totally different than Montana. She's not about velo. She's more about location and spin. So it is a big day for Alabama softball chances in this upcoming postseason, no doubt about that.
Yeah, and then, of course, I did think it was encouraging the way they swung the bats against Tennessee, who won the league in the regular season and the tournament. They got off to a 4-0 start, took advantage of some of that. They stayed in it. It was a 7-6 game, and they had opportunities, but they're going to have to swing the bats like that, Travis, situationally, whether Montana's available or not, if they want to win the regional and then win the Super still. Because, as we know, it was a disappointing end to last year where it was a rarity, but they didn't get out of regionals at Rhodes.
Yeah, that's just something that doesn't happen for them in the regional round. And you're right. It seemed like they understood the assignment in that semifinal against Tennessee, that without Montana, and Murph had said he wasn't going to pitch her in that spot regardless, but they understood. It seemed like that they needed to swing the bats, and boy, Ashley Prangy is on one right now at the plate, which is great for Alabama. I think the freshmen you continue to feel good about with Pruitt, Cahalan, and then also Jenna Johnson and what she brings to the mix. You know, get more from Shipman here in the regional and perhaps super regional rounds, and suddenly you're in a better spot offensively. Include Bailey Dowling in that mix as well. So, you know, it's just a spot where you really want to be playing your best in all phases of the game. I think defensively they showed some improvement too. So it's a team that maybe with the understanding that Montana could be less than 100% or out altogether, that sense of urgency seems to ramp up.
Alabama getting that number 5 seed, Travis, and I know you said, you know, we don't pretend to know the criteria of how they got there or anything like that, but is this a reward for Patrick Murphy for scheduling the type of non-conference schedule that he likes to schedule each and every year?
Yeah, I think Murph gets it. I mean, obviously, from a scheduling perspective, in some ways it's like basketball. You know, you can build in those bye games and, you know, some of those early season events that Alabama hosts, the Bash, and, you know, those type of things, they work out well because they make sure they have a couple of games with, you know, a high-level top 25 like competitor in that mix too. It's not just, you know, 3 run rules against subpar or inferior competition. So after all these years. And then Murph knows he's got the SEC in his back pocket, so he doesn't have to go entirely overboard. But certainly on a consistent basis, just sort of week to week, to mix in that game or two at least against a legitimate P5 sort of opponent, it shows up big at the end of the year.
It really does. And then speaking of showing up big at the end of the year, Alabama baseball, certainly not ideal with Brad Bohannon's dismissal, but Travis, you've got to like what you've seen out of this team and the way they responded, especially tough loss on Friday against A&M, and then just to annihilate the Aggies 2 straight on the road heading into this last weekend. They still got work to do, and it's still going to be tough, but they do have a legit shot to potentially host if they can stack some wins or at least make a strong case.
Yeah, I mean, they sweep the worst team in the SEC in Tuscaloosa this weekend coming up in Ole Miss. You know, they're 16-14 in the league going to Hoover. You know, at worst, you would think that would put them in a really good spot in the 2 chain at the 2 line in that pecking order there. In terms of even if they don't host or they have to go on the road as a 2, they would be in a better spot than they would be as kind of this bubble team that they were really still going into the weekend. I kind of felt like, and we talked about it last week, if they went 3-3 over their final 6 from A&M and Ole Miss, they were a lot to be in the tournament, even at 14-16 in the league. But you're right, man. You talk about a gritty weekend for 2 teams on the diamond. Alabama, I thought, from a softball perspective, showed that, and then to bounce back from that game 1 loss to A&M, and you said it, the offense, Pinckney, Shelton, the Mac attack on the mound on Saturday and Sunday. When you talk about McMillan and McNary last night, another team that looks to be playing their best. And again, you got an Ole Miss team coming into Tuscaloosa this weekend, 6-21 in the league. That's amazing to me that Ole Miss is 6-21 after winning the national title. But that's where it's at right now, and Alabama needs to take advantage of those hot bats against an Ole Miss pitching staff with an ERA that's, I think, over 6 right now for Ole Miss.
When you look at this baseball team, Travis, and you got to give a lot of credit to the coaching staff for keeping this team heading in that right direction. I mean, they easily could have went one way, but obviously that they've gone the way of keeping on playing hard, playing well, and playing free out there. Just kind of looks like they're just playing baseball, and a lot of credit is to this staff for keeping this team together.
It is, and really every aspect. Defensively, a pitching staff that's had a couple injuries, but we talked about it. They have some veteran leadership that I think is showing up big too. I mean, when you have a guy like Jim Jarvis right there in the middle of your infield, you know, Steidel, Pinckney, Williamson, you can kind of go on and on. Even off their bench, they've got some guys that have played a good bit of college baseball. That's been beneficial. But absolutely, credit to Jason Jackson, the rest of that remaining staff. And, they're controlling what they can control, I guess you can say right now, and at the plate, especially in those second two games, those final two games at A&M, they were kind of late 90s like in their approach. I mean, Shelton with 3 home runs, Pinckney with 3 home runs, the pitching efforts again of McMillan and McNary. That looked like a top 15 to top 20 team to me over the weekend.
It really did, and they've. It's really amazing how they've been able to overcome Hess. It doesn't look like he may be back. We know Hit's out. They haven't had Antoine Jean. Riley Quick's even gone through some things the last couple of weeks, so they've been able to still stabilize it. And like you said, there's a lot on the table for them still to play for, certainly. And, you just want to avoid, I'll never forget 97, that team that went to the finals. The only hiccup they pretty much had all year was a terrible Ole Miss team back in those days, because it wasn't nearly what Ole Miss is now. Beat them 2 out of 3 late in the season. But hopefully Alabama can at least win the series, if not sweep, and, continue to climb up, because, they've got a chance to make a run here. Certainly they're swinging the bats really well. You talked about Drew Williamson's, the Jim Jarvis's, a lot of veteran leadership for Alabama, and even some of those young guys, the Colby Sheltons. But I will say this, Travis, you sort of mentioned it. He's really had a first-team All-SEC type year, but nobody really thought about it going in, and he's 24 years old, and everybody may end up working for him one day with his Harvard degree. But Seidel's had a really, really good year.
He has, and they're all seeming to do it at the right time right now. And even if a guy isn't doing it, they're picking him up throughout that lineup. So, and you're right. I mean, you can't afford to let your guard down at all. Look at Mississippi State this past weekend. Went to LSU. Bad Mississippi State team by state standards. Goes to Baton Rouge, takes the series over a top 3 team in LSU. So week to week in the LSU in the SEC, you just can't really look at the win-loss column, because regardless, it's still going to be a quality team, and it's a quick turnaround. You're Thursday to Saturday this week. So you get back late night last night to Tuscaloosa, probably get a day off today, and then you got to be right back at it.
No doubt. And speaking of being right back at it, Alabama football, they got some more good news on Friday with Jalen Key out of UAB. So, in effect, Travis, they lose Traquan Fagans to Southern California. They lose Jacquez Robinson to Colorado, but they gain Jalen Key. They gain, Trey Amos a few days before that at the corner spot. So, Alabama got some depth back, but then a couple guys that potentially could be even more than depth. Alabama with 5 additions in the portal. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and they don't go to the portal for special teamers, right? I mean,
no.
They could play some special teams, but, and there's no doubt from just a overview depth-wise, they needed to do it. They really did. But it's about competition, too, as you know. And there's guys like Christian Story at safety that you think are in pretty good shape, but now he's got additional competition to deal with, and a 6-year guy in Jalen Key. Same thing at corner. Terrion Arnold, you think has made some nice strides, but here comes Trey Amos, a guy that if you watch his tape, pretty adept in man coverage, which is a staple, which you have to be able to do in that defense. Kool-Aid can do it on the other side. You hope Terrion can do it, but you give yourself some insurance there from a competition standpoint. And so, absolutely, it just seemed like whoever they targeted in the portal, and they're very selective in that process, any of the 5 guys that they brought in, they were able to zero in and close the deal.
Yeah, they really were, no question about it. And so next it'll be, I would think they're done because the portal is closed. We'll see on the graduate transfer side and see if some things could happen, but definitely looks like the one position they didn't address, I thought they might, is defensive line. But as you know, Travis, that may be the most valued position and the hardest to find an impact guy in the transfer portal. Really, Bear Alexander going from Georgia to Southern Cal, the biggest example.
Yeah, it's tough to find exactly guys that are plug and play and difference makers. When you look at Alabama's defensive line room right now, they've got plenty of guys. They need dudes.
Yeah.
And so you hope with Justin Aboigbe back and cleared and looking like he could be a real force in his final year in the program, Jaheim Otis there in the interior. You do have a couple of guys that you feel good about. You go back and watch the 8A game. There's still some young guys, I think, with potential. Montel Goodwine, I thought Isaiah Hastings showed some decent things in the spring game too. So they have a lot of guys, but absolutely they need some of those guys to take that next step.
No question. Well, great stuff, Travis. You do a great job with BamaOnline.com. Let everybody know how to follow you guys. And I know you're going to have full coverage of baseball, softball coming up, and, of course, recruiting keeps going. But we appreciate the time.
Go to BamaOnline.com or Alabama.247sports.com. Either way will get to us.
Thanks, Travis.
Thanks, Travis.
Thanks, guys.
Let's get that break in. We're live from Bill Penny Toyota when we return.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wreck at Winchester and Homer Nance. That one is coming in as an injury type. And we got a construction project on the north end of downtown that's going to cause problems. Look for Washington and Jefferson to be closed at times. They'll be using Church and Pratt as an alternate route into and out of downtown and around to the interstate. D&L Refrigeration repairs heating and air conditioning units for homes and businesses. D&L 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
0% financing is happening right now at Woody Anderson Ford through Memorial Day weekend. Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and we've got financing as low as 0% APR for up to 36 months on 22 and 23 models of F-150, Explorer, Edge, and Escape. These are our best-selling Fords, and for a limited time, both 22 and 23 models have 0% financing, but it's only through Memorial Day weekend. Test drive a Woody Anderson Ford F-150, and you'll completely understand why it's the best-selling truck in America 46 years in a row. We've got a good selection of Explorers, Edges, and Escapes too, and some come with trade assist or bonus cash. But if you remember one thing, remember this. Woody Anderson Ford has 0% financing on 22 and 23 models of F-150, Explorer, Edge, and Escape through Memorial Day weekend only. Available with your good credit through Ford Motor Credit. These offers end May 31st. Woody Anderson Ford, hope to see you soon.
T-minus 3, 2, 1, blast. Trash Panda Nation, ignite the fun, let's rock it.
Your Rocket City Trash Pandas return home for 6 games starting Tuesday, May 16th as they take on the Birmingham Barons. First 1,500 adults into the gates at Toyota Field will receive a commemorative Trash Pandas bobblehead. Get your tickets while they are still available now at TrashPandasBaseball.com.
Let's rock it.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you. Welcome back in on a Monday morning. We're live from Bill Penny Toyota, sitting out here in the service department, just kind of hanging out, perusing around here on a Monday morning. And I saw this over the weekend, and, you know, because we knew going into the NFL draft, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, they were first-round draft picks. Anthony Richardson, despite limited snaps, starts, whatever you want to call it, worked his way up to be a first-round draft pick. Will Levis was thought, maybe, but did not. Others do. On 3 Sports said, hey, guys, these are 7 quarterbacks going into the new year, the new season of college football. That they're not there yet, but they could with good seasons, and with good seasons, their teams would have great success, could play their way into being a first-round draft pick. And a couple of those are interesting, kind of lightning rods. Spencer Rattler from South Carolina.
Oh, Lord.
We all know that South Carolina is going to go or not go with the arm of Spencer Rattler, that they're only going to go as far as he can take them. But can Spencer Rattler theoretically play himself into, now coming in to his college days, he was projected as a Heisman candidate. I mean, they were wanting to crown him at Oklahoma. But could he play his way into being a first-round draft pick? How far is he away from being a first-round draft pick as Spencer Rattler?
I'm not saying a word ever again with what happened with Anthony Richardson. Yeah, not saying a word. Yeah, because I didn't think he was very good even during the regular season. He just got drafted fourth. So,
right.
I mean, I don't really know what they're looking for. So, yeah, anything's possible. If Kakalaki wins 9 games and he has a first or second team All-SEC type season, it certainly could happen. I would not bet that. But again, I did not think I was looking at the number 4 pick in the draft the entire season when Anthony Richardson was there. I thought when he went pro, he might impress enough people to go in the 3rd round, and he almost went 3rd overall. So I mean,
other names on this list,
you never know.
Other names on this list are kind of interesting. DJU, who's now at Oregon State.
Hell no. I don't care how many yards he throws for at Oregon State, unless he throws for 5,000 and wins the Heisman Trophy. I just, and if he does, it's going to make Dabo and them look bad. But I don't see it with DJU. I look at him as as another Will Levis, and Will Levis was
gonna
not
get
a first round pick.
But
I mean, he'll get
he's
drafted.
Not get
DJU
right.
will certainly get drafted. Look, he's out of Central Casting. But he'll certainly get drafted unless he just has a disastrous year at Oregon State. But
he has those measurables like Anthony Richardson has. He's big, he's tall.
I'm not expecting him to be a first-round pick, but we'll see.
How about this one? Joe Milton. They put Joe Milton on this list.
Again, he's almost like the next Anthony Richardson. More arm strength than Anthony.
Right.
Almost as good an athlete.
At Tennessee, he's probably going to get the yards.
Probably if he doesn't get benched.
Right.
For Nico Iamale, $9 million.
There's the catch there.
But, I mean, because one or two bad games and they're going to all be yelling for $9 million. So, we'll see. I mean,
True.
I don't know. I mean, but does Joe Milton have a chance to vault himself? I don't want to say first rounder. Now, I know Joe Rexrode in Nashville said that, but drafted, yeah, he could easily. He's got the physical tools, but he's going to have to put it together. Certainly, I actually think Joe Milton, from the standpoint of his coaching staff, the system, him being there for a while, knowing the system, he's probably in a better spot than DJ Uiagalelei. Because he's only going into 1 year at Oregon State.
Yeah, new system. Well,
and then even Spencer Rattler's in his second year at Kakalaki, but I don't really know how good the talent is at Carolina right now.
Right.
But I think at Tennessee it's improved and better. And I think when you're talking about Josh Heupel going into year 3, I think of those 3 quarterbacks, Joe Milton's probably in the best spot.
The other one that we're going to see a lot of, and that is Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, we got to see how he improves his downfield passing. We know he can run. We know they got a good coaching staff over there at LSU. Certainly believe in that. They should have a good wide receiver core. Led by Lacey and Brian Thomas. So we'll see. I mean, I think he's in a good spot too. But how much has he improved consistently as a passer?
Yeah,
he didn't make a lot of downfield throws last year, but he didn't turn it over either. So we'll see. I mean, I think he and Joe Milton are both in good places, though.
It was interesting, just kind of looking over those 7 quarterbacks. It's like, okay, can any one of them play their way into being a first-round pick? Other ones that we don't need to go over that they just threw out there I'm not familiar with is Tyler Van Dyke.
Fifth at Miami, and he has not been good. And then
Miami has not been good.
That's going to have to do a complete 180. We'll see. But anything can happen in 1 year. But certainly, now I would be more about these guys getting on NFL radars to be drafted instead of first-round picks.
Right.
But we'll see. A lot can happen in a year. No doubt about it. But people forget, I know they finished strong, but Rattler was erratic. I thought, at South Carolina last year when they had all these expectations, and then he finished strong. But we'll see if he can put together an entire season. He's never been able to really do that. He didn't even really do it at Oklahoma, and that's why he went from Heisman frontrunner to Caleb Williams caddy. I mean, so let's see if he can finally put 1 year together.
All right, 256-576-4977. You want to get in on the show this morning, feel free to do so. We got a few minutes before Brian Matthews hops on, and we talk Auburn. A lot to do there from over the weekend. But here's something that I found. I was kind of looking over the football schedules this coming year, and one thing caught my eye, and that is the Florida Gators are traveling to Utah this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2026 they go to NC State, and 27 they go to Cal. Started looking back, and did you know that Florida has not played an out-of-conference road game since 1991 outside of the state of Florida?
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's early in the Spurrier administration.
Yeah. They've not won since 89 outside of the state of Florida on a out-of-conference
that was before
road game.
Spurrier.
That was before Spurrier.
Yeah.
I started looking at that going, really?
Wow.
Really? And then you start looking at the schedules, and Florida has,
they have played a lot of the in-state schools.
They've played Miami. See, they go on the road, and they play Miami. They play Florida State.
Yeah.
They go on the road away from Ben Hill Griffin, but they don't travel outside of the state of Florida for a non-conference game. Remember, the Georgia game is in Jacksonville, so it's still in the state of Florida.
There's even questions about that now with the Jack Stadium.
Yes. So Florida could actually have, but that would be a conference game, so it wouldn't be an out-of-conference game. But Alabama
the Jacksonville
has
mayor's leveraging this thing, though. He knows they can't lose it because, the economy and all that. And
so Alabama and Auburn and Georgia, they have traveled out of their state. They've traveled to play some non-conference games, but the Florida Gators have not since 1991 left the state of Florida to play a non-conference road game.
Well, it also speaks, for a while there they had it rolling, what Miami and Florida State and Florida were all doing. So they really didn't need to because they could play each other and stay in state. So we understand that, and a lot of times, especially before the college football playoff era, you were trying to you were already in the SEC, which
you were just trying to get all the wins you
were trying
to avoid the loss,
and then not lose a game, and then end up in a bowl game where you could win a national championship, which Steve Spurrier did in '96 when he got the by the way, the rematch with Florida State of all people.
yes,
when he won his only national
the Sugar Bowl, I believe. Yeah,
because we all know what happened when he played in '95 against Nebraska. They got smashed, against Tommy Frazier and those guys. So again, but. It's just really, but it also shows now how far Florida has fallen as a state.
Yes.
Because, Darth Vader should have been running that state, and he couldn't recruit, didn't really want to. And it felt, because with what Miami and Florida State were going through, Florida had a chance to seize it. And really didn't. Billy Napier is recruiting, I think, well, though. I think if they'll be patient with him, I think he's got the roster going in the right direction.
How patient are they going to have to be? That's kind of what I was leading to with all this. How patient are they going to have to be with Billy Napier?
Well, I think he's going to get him to bowl games. I'm talking about if you think he's going to compete for an SEC title, you probably got to wait till probably year 4 because he needs to. Because that roster was in bad shape because Dan Mullen did not do a very good job, but he's recruiting hard. Need to get Keith Niebuhr on. Keith Niebuhr now with Gators Online and talk about that. And that they got a great staff over there, Nick Delatorre and Alba Verde and all those guys, and Corey Bender. But yeah, I think they're going in the right direction. Miami, we don't know with Cristobal. He's a great recruiter, but can he coach well enough? And then Norvell did a great job last year, kind of coming out of nowhere. But can he? This year he won't. They got expectations on them. A lot of people are going to be watching, I believe, when they play in Orlando against in that rematch with LSU. Like, are they really the real deal? Are they really one of the 2 best teams in the ACC? Some people have them in the college football playoff. Are they going to be that good, or are they going to be an overrated team? So we'll see. They certainly, Norvell has turned them around quickly. but is it really legit? And we're going to find out this year, I think.
All right, let's get our final, well, not our final break in, but let's get a break in. When we come back, Brian Matthews will join us. We're going to talk Auburn baseball and Auburn softball. And is Hugh Freeze done with the transfer portal? We'll go over all that next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Monday, we'll see partly sunshine heading into the afternoon. Scattered showers and thunderstorms become a possibility. High temperature is going to be topping back out in the upper 80s for the afternoon. For your Monday night, a few lingering showers and thunderstorms still going to be possible. Otherwise, we'll sit under a mostly cloudy sky. Low temperatures expected to fall back into the upper 60s for the overnight. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a couple of accidents reported. Winchester and Holborn Hants reported as an injury time, and we had eastbound 565 near the Parkway. That started as metal in the roadway, and then they paged it out as an accident, but it did come in as a no injury. Snelling needs an experienced machine operator. It's direct hire with great benefits. Snelling, how the area's best companies hire talent. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Since 1998, Scooter's Coffee has delivered high-quality drinks with quick service and a big smile. And the folks at Scooter's Coffee know a great cup of coffee or other drink can bring a smile to just about anyone. Yes, we specialize in great coffee, but Scooters also has smoothies, teas, and delicious food items too. And this week, Scooters is our zone deal. Right now, get $50 worth of Scooters in Huntsville for just $25 online at 977ESPN.com.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said, if you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself.
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
It's an amazing time in our industry. Things are changing so rapidly. With digital signatures and workflow software, we help our customers work from anywhere. This helps you save time and money and upgrade your technology. Like I said, it's an amazing time to watch our customers grow and succeed.
Just ask anyone. The Liosi Group.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
right, welcome back. Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you. Hanging out here at Bill Penny Toyota. We talked a little bit about it in hour number one. The Auburn softball team headed to the NCAA tournament. Not the seed we probably thought they were going to get. That was a huge surprise from the weekend. But Auburn baseball goes on the road at Ole Miss, and Mother Nature is the only thing that slowed down that series for Auburn over the weekend as they just dismantle Ole Miss on the baseball diamond in 3 games.
Yeah, it was just a tremendous performance. It's really been just a tremendous 3 weeks for Auburn. As Brian Matthews wrote in his Monday Musings, I mean, it's a turnaround for the ages, probably since 2001. And that's ironically, I think Brian's first year on the beat. Not trying to make him feel old or anything, but certainly Auburn baseball has completely turned it around. Pitching-wise, offense has been really good all year, but it's getting hot at the right time, really, the way they swung the bats in Oxford. Certainly a 16-4 win in the first game of the doubleheader, then 8-2, and then 13-5, and really wasn't even that close. It was 9-0 before you could snap a finger, but Auburn dominating in Oxford, and I think it was their first series win there since 2012. So Auburn's rolling right now, and then they got Missouri at Plainsman's Park as they continue to try to enhance their resume, as we talked about earlier in the show. And now we're going to talk to Brian Matthews of AuburnSports.com as he is with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Brian, hope you had a happy Mother's Day and a great weekend. How are you?
Yeah, I had a great weekend. Thank you, guys. It's always good to be in and talk about Auburn sports with y'all.
Yeah, it really is. And as you wrote, I mean, this has been a turnaround for the ages for Auburn. So many pitching struggles, early injuries, but it's been an amazing coaching job by Butch Thompson and Darren Schoenrock and this entire staff, Gabe Gross, Carl Nonemaker, to get this team turned around.
Really has been. And, early on, you heard the chatter, right, online and on the radio and such about, the coaching staff. But once again, Butch Thompson's team have finished strong here, right, gotten better as the season's gone on, overcome some real major injuries like Joseph Gonzalez, losing him basically for the whole season. The number one ace pitcher. That's tough to overcome for any team, but Auburn's done that, and they've played incredible down the stretch, 9-3 so far in the second half of SEC play, pitching better, hitting better, just really performing at a high level going into this final stretch of the season and postseason.
Yeah, and once you get playing downhill, especially in baseball, when your pitcher's getting a groove and your batter's getting a groove, man, things just seem to happen and happen at a high rate. And I think this Auburn team, focus was one of those things where, okay, they were really focused against South Carolina, really focused against LSU, but how do you play against a team that is at the bottom in Ole Miss? And I think we answered everything with that series. This Auburn team is playing downhill, and it doesn't matter who they're playing focused.
I think that's a great point because, Auburn is not a team that can just roll out, a bunch of first-round draft picks, right, and just overwhelm teams. They've got to play really hard every week. And, when you have a run like Auburn did, beating number 2 South Carolina on the road, number 1 LSU at home, there could be a letdown going to somewhere like Ole Miss, which is really struggling this year. But there was no letdown. They performed well all 3 games and came out with the first series sweep of the season. And now, they've got Jacksonville State tomorrow night. They've got Missouri at home Thursday through Saturday. And then it's off to, the Hoover Met for the SEC tournament.
Well, last week, though, they were supposed to have a midweek game, and they did not get to play it, and Mother Nature canceled it. Is that a tough one, though, this late in the season to have that midweek game, to have to play it this week?
This one was scheduled. The one they got, I think it was scheduled. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I missed that. But I think it was important for them last week if they could have. They got that game at Hoover Met, just get some experience there, right?
Yeah.
They went up there and it got a rain out. But, I think they're good the way they're playing right now. The pitching staff seems to be in pretty good shape going in. You want to keep these bats hot and keep them out there. And then, I like that the SEC closes out, the season Thursday through Saturday. And Auburn, I think, was fortunate to be the Thursday through Saturday series him an extra day going into this week.
Yeah, but and the only I think small concern, and hopefully it's nothing, where hopefully he'll be able to pitch in Hoover. And I don't know about this weekend, but what about Christian Herberholz? I mean, that was a little bit discerning to me because Auburn's already had injuries, and this young man had thrown exceptionally well in helping them win the series in Baton Rouge. I know he had to come out early on Saturday.
Yeah, came out after 2 innings. We don't know exactly what it was that was bothering him.
Right.
Coach Thompson said afterwards, I'll have him checked out here in a couple of days. But the one thing I would take as positive is they showed him in the dugout, a little bit later in the game with nothing on his arms or elbows, shoulders, walking around laughing, talking. So you would think that, you would at least hope or feel that, maybe it's not too serious and it's something that, maybe I want to keep him out for a little while.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and as you said, Auburn's pitching staff, Tommy Vale, he's really stepped up as the number one guy right now for the Tigers. I know Butch has done a little bit different thing. He's been holding him back to Saturdays, but it certainly worked.
He's been incredible. I mean, and it seems like he gets better every start. He began mainly out of the bullpen, went to be a starter, struggled to get past 3 or 4 innings in his first few starts, and he sort of lengthened out every time, got more efficient with his pitches. It wasn't that he necessarily ran out of gas. He was just having trouble with his pitch counts getting really, really high. But, he's gotten more efficient. He went 8 innings against Ole Miss, and that's his best outing of the year by far. Held him to just, I think, 1 run on 2 hits, if I remember correctly. I mean, it was just an outstanding performance by him, and I just, putting him in the game 2 slot, I think is good for Auburn because Auburn doesn't necessarily have a dominant Friday starter right now, but it gives what's been their best 2 starting pitchers, Vale and Herberholz, an opportunity to start against other teams' number 2s and 3.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's look ahead to this weekend. Missouri comes to town, and last weekend Ole Miss was hanging on by a thread to get to the SEC tournament. Missouri comes to town, and they have a lot to play for. I mean, Auburn, if Auburn has a lot to play for, Missouri has a lot to play for. So plenty on the line for this final weekend.
Yeah, I think Ole Miss was officially eliminated, but Missouri and Mississippi State are both battling with Georgia that last spot in the tournament. And Missouri knows that they just need to come in here and I think just get 1 win or maybe 2 wins in clinch. I'm not sure, but they're going to come in fighting. They're a team that's been up and down this season. Plays much better at home, so they'll be on the road. But you never want to take a team like this lightly, just like last week. Or Auburn's not a team that can just roll out there, especially if they're without another one of their starters this weekend. Somebody's going to have to step up.
Yeah, they really are. And then, and certainly Missouri is fighting for their lives as well. Them, Georgia, and Mississippi State, they're kind of fighting for the last 2 spots. As you said, Auburn really ended Ole Miss's season. But speaking of shocks yesterday, I was just stunned, honestly, that Auburn softball didn't get a chance to host. I just assumed that the top 6 or so in the league were all going to host regionals. I thought Alabama would be 12, 13, maybe 14. I thought Auburn would be somewhere in there in the 9, 10, 11 range. I was stunned that Auburn didn't get a chance to host yesterday, Brian.
Well, I think they were stunned. I think that's a fair word to say. You can just see some of the comments on social media. I saw Justin Lee, one of Auburn's beat writers, post. I think it was the first time that a team that finished 3rd in the SEC hasn't hosted a regional in the first round there. So it's tough. I'm not as outraged necessarily as everybody else is. I think this goes back to what Auburn did in the preseason or before SEC play, the non-conference schedule. I just think they played a bunch. They didn't play a tough enough schedule. I mean, I can read out some of these names to you: St. John's, Fordham, Austin Peay, Villanova, Dayton, Merrimack, Brown, North Dakota State. Bowling Green, Tennessee Tech, Weber State. It's just not a who's who. I mean, they did play Oklahoma. I give them credit for that. They got blasted by them. But, it just wasn't a really great non-conference schedule. I think that strength of schedule in the RPI really hurt them when the committee started putting together the top 16 national teams.
And then they have to go to Clemson, but if they get through the Clemson regional, it is Oklahoma ahead of them, who they've already faced this year twice, and Oklahoma got the best of Auburn in both of those meetings. So the path to get to Oklahoma City, that's awfully, awfully tough.
Yeah, Oklahoma outscored them 21-1, I think, in 2 games out in Oklahoma City back in March. So, yeah, that's not a good matchup for Auburn. It'll be tough for them to go up to Clemson, but you feel like they're going to go up there, feeling like they've been disrespected in a way, and maybe they'll go out and play some of their best softball and get after it. And if Maddie Pinta is back to her usual self, Auburn's going to have a chance to win that regional. So, should be exciting. I mean, clearly Clemson is number 16. That means Auburn was number 17, right? So they're very close to being a national seed hosting, but it didn't work out for them, and they'll just have to go up there and fight, see what happens.
Yeah, and certainly they've already seen Oklahoma, so they certainly aren't. There'll be a sense of familiarity, and certainly if they win the regional, they're still going to have a lot of motivation to go out and try to knock off. I mean, look, you're playing with house money at that point. I mean, you're playing the number 1 team in the country, the defending national champ. You can go out there and make a little history in your own right if Auburn can win this regional at Clemson. And I'm sure, as you said, Brian, the biggest thing, just judging from the social media reaction of the student athletes, they're going to be super motivated.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be a fun regional watch. It's important for Auburn. Finishing 3rd in the SEC was a big step up for them. Winning a regional on the road would be another really big step up for them. So they need to concentrate on, this upcoming weekend and not worry about, what could come next if they can win.
And then Scott mentioned it earlier. You've been on top of it when we've had you on the show the last several weeks about what Auburn was looking for in the transfer portal football-wise. They got Peyton Thorne. You were the first one to kind of point him out. He's the guy that looks to be the leader in the clubhouse, so to speak, at quarterback. But the portal is closed, but there's still the graduate transfer option. In your mind, is Auburn done yet, or are they still looking?
No, I don't think they're done yet at all. I think they're still looking at certain areas. They've had some guys in to visit and such. Larry Nixon III was in over the weekend from North Texas. I think he had a couple of visits left, or maybe one more, before he makes a decision. But I was there when we spoke with him, and I felt like Auburn was in really good shape for him. And he's more of a middle linebacker, a guy who can come in and play will. Maybe beside the kid they got from Ole Miss. I think of his name off the top of my head, but Auburn may have 2 transfer linebackers starting there in the middle, and that could allow a guy like maybe one of the other linebackers to move to that jack position, help out with that pass rush a little bit. So I think this is that would be a big pickup for Auburn. They're certainly looking at wide receivers. They had Jair Shorter in from North Texas also about a week or so ago, and then Shane Hooks is the guy from James Madison. They just recently offered, and I think they're going to try to get for a visit. So I think if things went well, they'd love to add a linebacker and another receiver, and maybe if they can find another impact type player, they might take him too. But I think we are getting close to the end here of their business in the portal. I think the totals right now are 16 incoming and 20 outgoing.
Well, it sounds good. Brian, you've been right on top of it. You always are with auburnsports.com, part of the Rivals Network. Let everybody know how to follow your work, and we always appreciate your time.
I appreciate that. And you can check us out at auburnsports.com. Follow me on Twitter at BMATAU. It should be another busy week. I think we'll get some more news on the transfer portal. Of course, we got baseball and softball coming up this week, and then we're going to meet with Bruce Pearl later today. Golf tournament, and we get Hugh Freeze, Pearl, and probably John Cohen again at the LaGrange Ambush, I think it's Wednesday. So there's going to be a lot of content at auburnsports.com.
No doubt. A lot of info coming out. Thank you, sir. Have a great week.
You too, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, let's get that final break in. Your tomorrow's headlines. Wrap us up when we return.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a report of cattle in the roadway 53 around McKee Road and around Old Railroad Bed, so be careful coming through that area. Got Winchester and Homer Nance working. I think that's going to turn out to be a no injury, but it may have some lane blockage. And we've got Washington and Jefferson on the north end of downtown, a project starting there today. They'll be using Church and Pratt as an alternate route to get you through there. Dr. Sandman has the Somnodent, a safe, insurance-approved alternative for snoring and sleep apnea. Dr. Randall Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeyes, Skywatch Traffic Center.
Is I had a few too many happening too often? Do you always need a drink to relax or sleep? You're not alone. 1 in 7 people struggle with alcohol. Bradford can help. For over 40 years, Bradford's affordable rehab programs have helped people overcome addiction and return to healthy, productive lives. Call 888-SOBER40 for confidential help 24/7. Start your comeback with Bradford. Call 888-SOBER40 or visit bradfordhealth.com.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you, hanging out for another 3-4 minutes. And a little personal note, I know he is not listening because it is 6:53 in the morning out there in Oregon. But over the weekend, we had a proud moment. Our son captured the NWAC Sports, which is the conference out there. He captured the South Region Championship in the 800 meters
there you go.
Over the weekend. He's got the conference meet left where the North and the South groups combine for the conference championship. This was just the southern region of the NWAC division, the 7 schools, but he ended up being the conference or the South Region champion for the NWAC Sports in the 800. Now he's got the conference meet coming up, and he's 0.2 of a second behind the top seed. So he's right there with the top seed. So that's coming up this weekend.
That way
yeah.
we may have a chance to move on up and continue his track career.
He is. He's got two. He's had a remarkable run this past month. He's got two choices out there. He's going to break Mama's heart, but he's going to stay out there in Oregon.
So he's going
for the next 2 years.
He's going to stay out there on the West Coast. He's enjoyed it, I think.
He's going to stay out there, and he's got two schools that are eyeing him. So yeah.
Good stuff.
Yep, and we mentioned the Atlanta Braves briefly. We actually haven't even mentioned the Braves on air, but they fall yesterday to the Toronto Blue Jays. But the saving grace is the Mutts are still 2 games below 500.
The Mutts are terrible. Hopefully the Braves are going to snap out of it. I mean, for whatever reason, Toronto's got their mojo, man. They got their number a little bit.
Well, and Toronto's not a bad ball club either. They're 24-16 now.
They got Bo Bichette. They've got Guerrero. I think they have Biggio. They have all these sons of former Hall of Fame players. It's weird.
Now
really good players too. Yeah.
Virtue of one more win.
Yeah.
The Los Angeles Dodgers have the best record in the majors at 26-15. The Braves are 25-15, but virtue
of
the
one majors because the Rays I think have the best
my bad.
record.
National League. I want to say the National League.
The Rays still have the best record because they beat the Yanks.
The Rays are 31-11 right now after 42 ball games.
Right.
They have a 4-game lead over Baltimore. Just a 4-game lead. As good as the Rays have been, Baltimore is 12 games over 500. They're 26-14. Boston and the Yankees are in virtue of losses in last place in the American League East. So there you go. All right. It's been fun here at Bill Penny Toyota. Had some visitors, had some guests, even Tokyo Drift. Brought the Driftster in for a checkup today.
Yeah, they did. His check engine light was on. Can you imagine it?
That check engine light was like, please, lay off the throttle.
Even after he had just gotten a checkup. So, the hammer down, as Snowman used to say.
Yes. Gotta put the pedal to the metal.
No funeral processions.
Daddy, here's your hat.
0% financing is happening right now at Woody Anderson Ford through Memorial Day weekend. Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and we've got financing as low as 0% APR for up to 36 months on 22 and 23 models of F-150, Explorer, Edge, and Escape. These are our best-selling Fords, and for a limited time, both 22 and 23 models have 0% financing, but it's only through Memorial Day weekend. Test drive a Woody Anderson Ford F-150, and you'll completely understand